Welcome back to another episode of Humanhood 101's Parental Confessions. My name is Alfa, and today we will be doing the confessions of me as a parent. I've had numerous interviews with parents from all over the world, and now it's my turn for my first self-interview. I have a surprise interview coming up soon, but today it's going to be just me. So I wanted to talk about a few things and confess a few things. Right to it, one of my most intense struggles or challenges or elements that I'm constantly dealing with in regards to mastering parenting is that of fear. Now, even at this stage, as I would like to believe and understand that I have no fears, I no longer have any fears in parenting, there's always a moment that will come up and challenge your balance. But I'm going to give you 3 today that I dealt with and that made me have to sit still, be quiet, listen, and really reevaluate myself and how I was going to find growth and evolution as a parent. So my first one was the fear of failure. That's right. With all of the knowledge I've learned in dealing with youth development, parent development, staff development, human development, all of the experience I've had working with children and families around this planet, I still had somewhat of a fear, or not somewhat, I had a fear of failure when dealing with my own child. It came from primarily having no control over what another person does. And the fact that this person is not just another person, this person comes from you. So in some sense, the person is you. It's a really intense part of you. There's an attachment. There's an ultra connection there. There's something that will always have you thinking about more than yourself. And that is what led to the fear that I've developed and had in the initial stages of parenting for me. So a fear of failure, a fear that I would not succeed as a parent, a fear that what I was teaching my child and what I was facilitating for my child wouldn't get through, a fear that I would not be good enough as a parent to give my child the tools they need to go out into the world and be safe and be okay without me. This fear of failure, as you know what I'm about to say, was completely and totally created from my own development. It was created from my own lack of, my own initial lack of mastering of experiences that I had or not had coming up throughout my entire life prior to parenting. And how I dealt with this fear is facing the fear of failure within myself. Then I realized the fear of failure wasn't about my child failing. It was more about me failing. It was more about me not succeeding in my life, me not succeeding in the dreams and aspirations that I have. You see how we just project and place our issues on our children without even realizing it. So that was the first one, fear of failure. And I know most of you parents out there deal with that fear as well. And it comes up every time they come home with an issue in school. It comes up every time you ask them to complete a chore and it's done less than what you expect. It comes up every time they don't respond to you the way you need or want them to. That fear of failure is all based on your fear of failures in your own life. The next one would be a fear to see my issues show up in my child. I know most of you've had this issue, and I know most of you do all that you can and whatever you can to eradicate this issue. But sometimes the things we do to eliminate an issue can actually cause an issue. So a fear to see my issues show up in my child, for me, it would be in a lot of things. It would be in how she speaks. It would be in how she listens. It would be in, like we spoke about earlier, how she takes care of her chores in her room. Because I remember my issues as a child. I remember my fears as a child. I remember the things that were extremely challenging for myself as a child. And those are all the things that I do my best to facilitate first for my offspring, just so she doesn't have those issues reflect in her upbringing, in her development. You see? But it's backwards, because what we should do, instead of dealing with the fear to see our own issues show up in our child, is give the children the opportunity to find their own issues and give the children the opportunity to find their own challenges and to approach whatever experiences they need to master and guide them in that mastery, instead of connecting our issues with theirs. And the last one is a fear of karma from any mistakes or any wrongdoing I've done in my past. Like most of us, if not all of us, we all have a past. We all have situations, issues, problems, stories, experiences, and acts that we maybe sometimes would have chose differently if we knew what we knew now. Now, the goal is to always take those mistakes from your past and use them as lessons to wrong our rights or to right our wrongs. The goal is to always take whatever issues we've had or whatever wrong we've done to someone else and understand that that's not okay, and understand that we can't continue to do that, and understand why. But when you talk about karma, when you think about the whole what goes around comes around concept, when you think about what you've done to somebody who at one point come back and be done to you, it creates a fear, it creates static, it creates friction in connecting with your child. It creates somewhat of a wall when doing your best to connect with your child. So if you want to figure out how to deal with the karmic energy that you might have or that you believe you created with whatever lack of in your choices in the past, the best thing to do is to face those fears of karma head on. How you do that is, if you can, when you can, find anyone, any bodies, any persons that you have done wrong to, that you have hurt, that you have lied to, that you have created an issue for. Find those individuals, however many they are, however many you can think of, and call them and make amends and apologize from your heart, from your intention. Not because you're scared that it's going to show up in your child, but because it's the right thing to do. And because that is the action and the ethic that you would want your offspring to follow. And the best way to set an example is by leading that example and by doing all of the things that you would like to see your child do. So those are my 3 confessions for today. And I hope that they have allowed you to find a part of yourself that needs to be upgraded in regards to parenting. I hope this minute and short conversation has allowed you to reflect on your own actions in your past and how they relate to your present parenting experiences. Because I tell you this, most of our experiences, or rather most of our unmastered experiences that we constantly have today, are based off of issues that we have not completed in our past. And I'm not talking about your past life. I'm talking about this life right here. And the majority of them will have come from your childhood. So knowing that, do your very best to focus your energy and give your all to your offspring so they can have the development that you dreamed of or would dream of having for yourself, so they can have the development that would take them to a level of humanhood where they can do and be and see themselves as was whatever they choose. Because that's the ultimate goal, is to be completely and absolutely free from anything unnatural, from anything that causes friction, that causes fear, anxiety, that causes stress, that causes the feeling of lack and doubt of self. We would like for our children to be in tune with themselves, to be centered with themselves, to be as balanced as possible. And yes, we're all human and we're all here on this planet, and we're all going to have our moments of challenge. We're going to always have our moments where we might be somewhat moved off of our balance. We will have to be able to stretch ourselves and grow and develop ourselves to be put back in balance or bring ourselves back into balance. And that could be something that we have to work on every day, every moment of our lives. So again, thank you for joining me for this brief confession from Alfa. Our next guest is going to wow you. I can't wait to air this interview. I can't wait to you guys hear the amazing questions and responses to these questions that we got coming up. It's going to be off the hook. You guys are going to have parental epiphanies. Okay? So thank you again for joining me at Humanhood 101's Parental Confessions. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please share. Please let all of your friends, families know about what we're doing here, about the podcast, about the YouTube channel, about the Instagram page, about the workshops, about the trainings, about the parental retreats, about the parenting books. Fathering Daughters 101 is a hit. It is helping and allowing parents to thrive at higher and more concentrated levels in their parenting. And I can't wait till more and more people have the opportunity to indulge in such literature that is actually more. It's the book is written like a mirror. It's written easily. It's a short book, and it's written so you can see yourself better more than anything else. Peace, y'all. Thank you again for joining. If everything is good, then good is everything.